Hi everyone. I've got together a video of a painting for the kids and I hope you can all follow along. I'm not going to be using an easel or anything. I'm going to be holding the phone while I do it. So hopefully it will be easy enough for you to follow and it will look okay, not to be too shaky. So let me show you the painting we're going to be doing. So this is a painting, I call it my Baxter dog because I had a stuffed animal a long time ago that was a basset hound like this, and it was called Baxter. So I'm going to do one like this. However, I'm going to use a different background color. I decided I want to do the next one to be green, and so that's what I'm going to do. So in order to do this painting, let me give you the supplies you're going to need. So first off, you're going to need to have a canvas. I'm using a 5x7, but you are more than welcome to use a smaller one. If you want to use a bigger one, you can use whatever you want to get it done, whatever you have. You're also going to need a pencil. You're going to need a palette to put some paint on. If you don't have any palettes, you can very easily use a paper plate. Sometimes I've used the lid to Tupperware or plastic container, that kind of thing. You're going to need a tub with some water so you can rinse your brushes. You will need some paper towel so that you can dry your brushes. You're going to need a few small brushes. I've got two small flat brushes here, and then I have what I call my fine liner brush, and it's just a little tiny brush. And then you're going to need some paints, of course. So the colors that I'm using is you're going to need a white, you're going to need a black. This one happens to be called Jet Black. I use Apple brand paints. You're going to need a red. This one is red apple, but you can use whatever red you have. I'm going to use parakeet for my background. If you want to know what color I used for the sample, it was called Flamingo Coral. And then you're also going to need 3 shades of brown. So you're going to need a light brown, a medium brown, and a dark brown. I happen to be using light mocha as the light one. I have chocolate bar for the medium brown, and then I have burnt umber for my dark. All right, so the first thing we're going to need to do is we need to draw an outline of our dog. So the first thing that you're going to do, and let me see if I can get this done. Okay, so we're going to draw the muzzle of your dog first, and it's kind of like a bean. So it's oval, but then kind of in the middle, it's a little bit smaller. So let's see if we can do this. This doesn't work. I don't know what I'm going to do. All right, hold on. So I thought I would be able to do this without holding it, but it doesn't look like it's going to turn out that way. So I will try to get this close as I can. Sorry, I don't have the right equipment to do this perfectly. So, first thing we needed to do, of course, this is the muzzle. And then the second thing we're going to do is we're going to draw the nose. So we're going to draw inside of the muzzle area. We're just going to draw another oval. Now, if you draw something on here and you don't like the way it looks, because you're using a pencil, you can still erase it and it will work out fine. All right, now I'm going to draw the dog's head. So we're going to draw a large upside down shaped U. Start on one side of the muzzle. I'm not all the way over. I'm just kind of to the side a little bit. I'm going to go up and over and down. So his head is kind of funky up here. My pencil kind of caught on the canvas. There we go. So this guy's got a tall head. If you don't like it that tall, that's okay. You can do it a little shorter. Now we're going to make a line from up here down towards the nose, and it's going to be a little curvy at the top and then straight down towards the nose. And I'm going to do that over here in the opposite direction, down towards that nose. Now, if you need to stop this video at any time so that you can draw what you need to draw, you go right ahead. I'm trying not to go too fast, but videos kind of work that way. Okay, now we're going to draw the eyes. Now the eyes are going to be teardrop shape. So I'm going to start here and draw my first teardrop. And then go over here and I'm going to draw my second teardrop. The eyes of my dog. Then I'm going to draw two lines going across kind of in the middle. And then this dog needs to have some pupils inside of his eyes. So I'm going to draw a U on both of these. And because I'm doing this from the side, of course it's not going to be very even. I can't see it perfectly from the side. But I hope you get the idea of what to do. Now we're going to do the ears now. Now, Basset Hounds have very long, floppy ears. So we're going to start from the side of his head, kind of near the top, right about here. And we're just going to draw a line down, and we're going to loop it around right here. And we're going to do the same thing to both sides. So start about here, draw it down, around, and it just loops out. So let's see if we can get that a little bit better. Can you see that? Down at the bottom. He also has a tongue hanging out. This dog might be panting or happy to see you. A little bit of a tongue sticking out, and this is coming out right where the bean has that little crease. He also is sitting down. So we're going to draw the bottom, We're going to draw the bottom of his body right down here. He's got a couple of big floppy feet here that are kind of hidden by his very large ears. And he's got a little bit of legs that are going up. If you want to draw the legs coming down, coming down here, you can do that too. So he's got one leg here, one leg there. In this picture, you can see that he has some feet sticking out at the side, and that is because he is sitting and his legs are kind of flopping to the side. So if you want to do that, you can also. You just draw another oval here, and then you're going to, the way that I did this, my oval is going to go off my canvas, and that's okay. We also have some white from his belly showing. So I'm just going to put another U right down there, and that's going to be his white of his belly. So now it's time for us to start painting. So the first thing I'm going to paint is I'm going to paint the background first, this part up here. So I'm going to use my Parakeet Green, just because that's the color I decided to use. If you wanted to use another color, you're more than welcome to use like yellow or blue or purple, whatever you want. You're not going to need a whole lot of paint. So this is kind of what it looks like in my palette. I'm going to use the biggest of my flat brushes that I have with me. Of course, it's not very big anyway, but we're still going to use this one. Put a little bit of paint on our brush, and we're just going to paint all the background of where the dog is. So I decided to use this green because it is, to me, it's a little brighter than the coral was, the flamingo coral that I did in my example. And I just decided I wanted a different color. But you can use whatever color you have. If you need any supplies, let me know and I can put a package together for you. Okay, now to make it easier on me, I'm just going to flip this around. And continue to paint the bottom. If you need to use one of your smaller brushes to get into the smaller areas, you go ahead and do that. I might switch over. Oh no, I can get in there. Using a smaller brush will help you have more control over the detail, but it will also take a little bit longer for you to use. All right. So there I go. I have a coat of green on my dog. Turn it back over so you can see. So we didn't paint in any of his feet or any of the rest of the dog, just the background. Rinse my brush out. Tap out the water, and then I'm going to use my paper towel to dry my brush so we don't have any excess water that runs on there. Okay, so now I'm going to paint the muzzle of the dog, and to do that we're going to use our light mocha or our tan, your lightest brown, whichever color you decided to use. And again, we're not going to need very much. Because I'm getting into a smaller area, I'm going to switch over to my smaller flat brush. Again, you can use whatever color you feel most comfortable using. And I'm just going to go in here and I'm just going to paint this muzzle, this tan color. I'm going to go around the nose. If it's not exact, that is fine. Okay, I'm also going to paint the center section here. It's kind of like a blaze on a horse. I'm going to paint this the tan color. If you want to paint it a white, you can do that. We're just looking for a contrast. And paint it all the way down to the muzzle. Just like that. And then I'm also going to paint in his feet. So I'm going to turn my canvas around to make it a little easier. And I'm going to paint both the feet. So I have the back feet sticking out a little bit here. I have his front feet, which are they're fuzzy. I once had a puppy. He was a Cocker Spaniel and he was black. And everywhere was black except for his little furry paws. And they were this tan color. His name was Barney. All right. Now I have one more spot that I'm going to paint this tan color. And to do this other part, I'm going to use my fine liner because this is a smaller area. I'm going to paint his eyelids this tan color. Okay, I'm going to rinse that out. I'm going to rinse out both of my brushes. All right. Now the next thing I'm going to do is we're going to paint the medium brown. So my medium brown is this chocolate bar. Not going to need a whole lot of that either. Of course, if you're using a bigger canvas, you're definitely going to need a little bit more paint. I, again, am going back and using my smaller flat brush. And we're going to paint both sides of his head here. Now, if you paint over your drawing lines, it's okay. We're going to paint some other colors in here too. Okay, I'm also going to paint his body down at the bottom with this medium brown color, and I'm going to paint the leg part too. So let me flip this around so we can see what it looks like on my painting. So I'm going to paint in here, this strip in here that goes all the way down, that's part of his leg, and then I'm going to paint right here, which is the body. Remember, this is going to be white, and then I got a little bit of his leg here and a little bit of a leg here. So on my painting, I'm going to paint all three of these. Now I think I'm going to switch over to my fine liner because that's a lot more detailed area in here. So just go like this. You may not have all these areas. It just has to do with how you drew your picture. Okay, so I'm going to rinse that brush out, dry it off on my paper towel. Okay, turn this thing back around so we can look at where we're at. All right, so we have the face of Baxter all done, and you can see where we painted in down here for his body. Now we're going to take the dark brown, which is my burnt umber. This one, burnt umber. Again, we just need a little bit. And because this area is a little bit bigger, I will probably be using my bigger brush for a bit, but when I get into the smaller places, like up here, I'll switch over into a smaller brush. So I'm going to take it, paint it in there, and start up here, using the side of my brush, and just kind of make a sweeping ear down here. Go along the side of his face. Actually, I might not need to go to a smaller brush. This might work just fine. I'm going to go around his muzzle. Like that. Just fill the rest of this in. And I'm going to start on the other side. A little bit more paint. All right. I am also going to paint Baxter's eyes, this dark brown. Actually, you know what? I think I'm going to paint his eyes a medium brown. But we do need to do a line of this dark brown. So I'm going to use the thin liner, the fine liner. And remember, we drew two little lines that went across his eyes. And we're going to use the dark paint on that. Get a little bit more. And paint it here. Let me turn this a little bit because I'm having a hard time seeing it. Okay, I'm going to rinse off my brush. And I'm going to go back in, using my fine liner, I'm going to go back into the medium brown. And I'm going to paint in this circle down here, this half circle, or this U shape, with this medium brown. Believe me, painting from the side is not that easy. We will let that dry for a little bit. So for now, I'm going to do some white. So this area down here is his chest area. And so we're going to paint that one white. I'm going to use my smaller flat brush. I've got to pour myself some white to start off with. And like I said, we don't need very much white. Okay, dip it in there. Now I don't want to paint the tongue white, I just want this area in here painted white. The brown that we painted for his legs and his body should be dry by now, so you shouldn't have any streaks. If you do, just wait for it to dry and paint on top of that, and then it should be able to paint really nice. Paint around his tongue. I also have another little area right here on the other side of his of the tongue that's white. I'm not going to be able to fill it in with this brush because this brush is just going to be too big. So I'm going to take my fine liner and paint that in. If you don't have an area like that, don't worry about it. It's just the way that I drew this particular dog. My last one, the one that I did for my sample, does not have that. So let me look at my last one. Okay. So now I'm also going to take my white paint and I'm going to paint this white area around his eyes with my fine liner. Now his eye looks a little funky. I'm going to have to try to clean it up a little bit when I go back in. Like I said, eye doesn't look too terrible. I just don't like the shape of it. So I'm going to take a little bit of my medium brown and I'm going to try to even out the eye just because I don't like it. That's a little better. Okay, now we're going to work on the tongue. The tongue is going to be red, or if you have a pink or something like that, you're more than welcome to do that. But I am using this red apple. Now this bottle is almost empty, so I might have to stick my paintbrush inside. I'm going to use my small flat brush for this. I really don't need very much, so just getting a little bit out of the empty bottle is going to work just fine. And I'm just going to paint a little tongue. Okay, just like that. We're done with the red. Next thing I'm going to paint is some black. Now I'm using jet black. If you had regular black, you could use that. If you had a dark gray like pavement, you could use that. It's just really up to you. I'm going to use this black to paint in the nose. So I'm going to use my smaller flat brush again. Get all the water off. We really don't want water added to it. And just take this and just paint in his nose. Okay. I am also going to use my fine liner and I'm going to paint in a little bit of a pupil in his eye. So just doing the half circle in the medium brown that we just painted there, I'm just going to paint another smaller half circle of black. Doesn't have to be very big, but this dog does have a pupil. Just like that. Okay. We also, since we don't have a whole lot of detail in this dog, we're going to outline the dog so the parts stand out. You don't have to do the outlining if you don't want to, but I'm going to be because I like how it makes my dog stand out. Now Basset Hounds has got really floppy, loose skin hanging everywhere. And so they have some wrinkles in their forehead. And I'm just going to take my fine liner And I'm gonna just do a couple of little wrinkles here. Okay. You can go down a little bit farther if you want. Seems like Basset Hounds just have this real heavy wrinkled brow. Okay. Now I'm gonna do his head. Try not to push down too hard on my fine liner brush. I'm just going to carefully outline this dog. We're doing his head. I'm going to outline the middle of his nose and his forehead. I'm going to outline his muzzle. I'm going to carefully outline his eyes. I'm going to do his ears. Getting a little messy on this outline. Now you got to think of where everything is at. So the tongue, my tongue is in front of the ears. So I want to make sure that the ears does not have a line that goes through my tongue. But my ears are going to be over the feet. So it's okay if I outline the entire ear over here. Now I think I'm going to go back a little bit later and I'm going to paint some green over this black that I did just a little bit too wide there. That's okay. It's just going to clean it up a little bit. Okay, I'm going to outline my tongue. I'm going to outline the chest. And then he had some legs coming down, so I'm going to draw a line going down for the front legs. I'm going to go around the feet. I just stuck that in the wrong color. Rinse that off, stick it back in the black. Around the back feet. Oops, I went up in there, so I'm gonna have to cover up that black. But we are almost done. Now, my Baxter has some freckles where the whiskers are coming out of his face. So I'm just going to use my black and make just some random spots. You also can have his lip showing right there, because you know dogs actually have lips that go all the way from their noses down. So I'm just going to do that. I'm going to rinse out my brush, and I'm going to use my white for some highlights. And we're just going to use it in just a couple of spots. So make sure you dry your brush off good, because if you get a little bead of water on here, it will run down and mix with your paint and get all over your painting, and then it just doesn't look very good. So I'm still using my fine liner, a little bit of white. I'm going to put a couple dots of white in his eyes on the black. These are just some highlights. So I'm going to show you a little closer. See the highlights on his eyes, and I'm going to put a little bit of highlight on his nose. So just a little swoosh like that. If you want to make his tongue look like it's nice and wet, we can do that on his tongue too. Oops, I got a little bit of too much water on my brush. Okay, so just put a little bit on his tongue. There, his tongue looks a little wet. So with my little flat brush, I'm just going to fix the background green. Just going to get a little bit of green on here and just paint on top of my dry black paint that I went a little too wild with. And if you want to go back after it dries a little bit and do it again, you can. It will cover that up nicely. I also want to put some tan right there. Okay, got a little bit of tan. We're just going to brush that in. So, we are done. The last thing that we need to do is we need to sign our picture. So, because of the dark colors that I have here, I'm going to sign my name using white. But if you want to use another color that's going to show up, that's good. Just going to do my little signature here. Just like that. And the last thing that you need to do is you need to put your painting aside. Make sure you rinse out all your brushes and get your palette clean if you're using a recyclable one. If not, just go ahead and throw away your paper plate, and we are done. Be safe. Try not to touch it because there are still a little bit of wet spots. We don't want to get wet. Oh, I just saw another spot that I didn't finish. So we're going to stop at this point. and I will see you guys again. Again, I want to say that if you don't have the supplies to do this, text me, message me, and I will see what I can do to get you supplies for this. Make sure you decide what color you want for the background and make sure you tell me that. If I don't have the exact same 3 browns, because I'm running out of a lot of my colors, I will make sure you get 3 shades of brown. So I hope you had a good time. I hope you were able to follow this, and I will see you again. Bye.